Okay, it's Toby from Heavyweight MMA with MMA fighter Colby Thicknesse, looking at UFC 269 prelims, Tai Tuivasa versus Augusto Sakai. Colby, there's been a few Aussies last weekend, a few coming up, a few Kiwis, and unfortunately last weekend wasn't so good for us. Hoping that this next weekend will be a little bit better.
Yeah, spot on. Like, unlucky for Brad Riddell. Obviously, we're back in the Brad and Jimmy because they're both Anzacs, Aussies and New Zealanders. Poor Jake Matthews didn't get the opportunity to fight, so hopefully they'll run it back in a week or two. Yeah, Crit got unlucky getting caught, and man, like Brad versus Ev, how can you sort of prepare for a spinning back kick in the third round? Like the whole fight was just grit your teeth moment as soon as the punches started flying.
Man, it was just a really tight fight, right? And such high-level skills of striking shown, man. Up there amongst the best of striking that I've seen in the UFC anyway, I would say. Maybe not everyone recognized, but it was a very high-level striking fight, right?
Oh, spot on. Like the way Brad or Raphael, they'll do the looks and the fakes to draw the certain reaction. They'd get the draw and they'd go to exploit the hole they make. But because they're so good, they've known that they've sort of been set up for this and they're already countering off the shot they've set up. Like it gets deep. And they boys are just a prime example of like, you could watch that fight in slow motion and pick up so many small good details.
Yeah, man. And see, like, because I was rooting for Brad and you see him get hit hard and just counter straight away with a super hard shot. Just thinking, man, these sort of shots would kill a mortal human. You know, these guys are like gods. the shots that they receive and give was so hard, man.
Yeah, even just some of the kicks that Raphael throws, where instead of exiting a counter with, exiting a combination with a jab or something, he exits with a left head kick because he's so sort of just what's the word, like so much dexterity in his legs and that. So he's in a clinching range. And he's throwing head kicks to set up his exits and stuff like that. Just so many cool high-level details that happened in that fight.
Yeah, and then poor Jimmy Crude copped the hiding. Unfortunately, came out maybe a little bit too eager, maybe not. I don't know, maybe not respecting his opponent enough. But either way, he's fighting another killer. So, you know, he got caught. That's what it was. He got caught and got put out of there too early, you know, unfortunately.
Yeah, spot on. I think it was a bit of a fact that he got caught cold and all it took was that one right hook behind the ear. He didn't see it coming and from there he was on wobbly legs. Shows how hard Jamal Hill actually hits though, because you probably would have seen a photo where he only landed 4 significant strikes and he fractured his nose, fractured his orbital and gave him 2 black eyes. So pretty much each punch was like a fight ender in a sense of actual power wise. So I think there's even though Jamal got submitted by Paul Craig, even on the feet, he was dominating that fight. So I think it's going to be cool to see where he goes, and it'll be good to see Jimmy also bounce back to this because Jimmy is young. He's only 25.
Yeah, man. And so on the weekend upcoming, UFC 269, we've got Kai Kara France fighting as well as Tai Tuivasa, a couple of Anzacs, Tai coming from Australia. Fighting Augusto Sakai. It's a very tight fight. The odds seem to suggest that. Both of them very, very even on the odds. So, you know, looking online, there's a lot of people picking Tai. A lot of people saying that they think Tai is going to win by knockout. But the more I look into it, the more I watch the fights again, I'm not so sure either way. To be honest, it's a confusing fight because it's very tight and they're both pretty high level, high strength, like hard punching fighters.
Yeah, exactly right. I think it's going to be a close contested fight. And as we all know, Sakai, he's on the 2-fight skid. He lost to Rosenstruck. As the end of the very first round, I think it was that right hand or that left hook that dropped him. There's no shame losing to a guy like that over him. And then before that, he was on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-fight win streak. Names like Aloski, Marcin Shabura. He's beating good guys. And then Ty's also on the 3-fight win streak, but he was also just coming off that 3-fight skid. So it's sort of the Ty's sort of coming back up and Sakai's sort of coming down and then meet in the middle. I guess it's going to see where the sort of ceiling and the next level is for these guys.
Yeah, looking at the tail of the tape, these guys are similar ages. Ty's 28, Sakai's 30. Height, 6'2" versus 6'4", 188 centimeters versus 193 centimeters. Reach, 75 inches versus 77 inches, so pretty close. One notable difference in their backgrounds is Augusto Sakai is a brown belt in BJJ. I haven't heard of whether Ty's been graded or whether he actually does much jiu-jitsu, which I don't know. He could just be doing jiu-jitsu for MMA, right? No gi, etc. But yeah, that could be a potential advantage. And then as you talk about the fights they've had, 19 fights for Sakai, 15 wins, 11 KOs. So he's got a massive KO ratio as well. Tai is also 15 fights, 12 wins, 11 KOs, another, so many KOs. But the thing that Tai has the advantage in, he's got a lot of kickboxing fights and boxing fights as well. So in the stand-up realm, you would say Tai seems to have more experience. By the look of things on paper, perhaps Sakai is a bit more versed on the ground.
Yeah, I have to agree with you that. I think also another big thing that plays into Tai is that even though Tai is not a massive heavyweight, but he's not sort of the most like built. He's not like an Ngannou or over him where they look super jacked, but he's deceptively athletic. He's actually got a lot of speed, a lot of pop. He's really good at sort of lulling guys in and then bursting in with good hip movements to really sort of hit them devastating blows. And if you watch some of Zakai's, he's a lot more plodding. He's a lot more of a sort of slow twitch, or he wants to find that sort of nice counter shot or set everything up technical. He's not really after that fast-paced sort of brawl, which I think is what Tai should bring. And I think what's he going to bring, where he's going to be on the outside. Luckily, he's going to chop the leg kicks in. And then once he gets reactions off that, the way he can cover distance for a big man and the hand speed and power he has, I think that's going to be his biggest advantage.
Yeah, man, he's definitely got, again, that hand of God. He can take someone out, anyone in that division. If he hits them in the right spot, they're going to go to sleep. As you mentioned, great feints. He's an athletic guy. You can just see the way he moves. He's an athletic, coordinated, natural guy. His leg kicks are killer. His calf kicks are killer. If you can start landing them early and rapidly, he's going to start to hurt him, maybe take that little bit of power out of Sakai. On Sakai, on the other hand, it depends which one comes, right? There's been a few fights where he's kind of slow and doesn't really get into the swing of things. And then when he fought over him, he seemed to be a lot more aggressive and sort of active in the early part of the fight, I thought, than he was in some of his other fights.
Yeah, it's hard to say because, like you said, he shows up differently. Like if he shows up slow and tries to play this methodical game, I see Tai put him to sleep in one, being honest. But then if he comes out, he matches Tai with the aggression. He doesn't let Tai dictate the pace. Instead of backing up and letting Tai start to follow up his combinations with more than one punch, he starts throwing threes and fours in combos. That's where he's a danger. But if he stands his ground, which I think he should be able to, because he does have I think going off the records and what we've seen previously, I think he does have maybe not so much a wrestling advantage, but definitely if it hits the ground, that's where his advantage is going to be. So he would be looking to force these sort of clinch exchanges, these upper body stuff, even working the cage. So I could see him nullifying Tai's aggression by meeting with aggression and meeting him in the middle and then forcing clinch exchanges that way. And that can be a path to the ground game for him as well.
Yeah, I think that if he's got good coaches, I think that would be the path for him, right? That he has to nullify some of the power and not give him that distance, So if you can grind him up against the fence somehow, I think that's his path to victory. He looks strong in the clinch against Overeem. Overeem's a beast, right? And he was like kind of throwing him around at points, and he was getting a good collar tie and throwing some nice knees, throwing some unorthodox strikes too, like hammer fists from the standing position. And that was kind of like, looked pretty aggressive and strong in the clinch. And I think that could be a start of him working towards the victory against Tai, because Tai's learning the clinch game more, right? I heard that he's spending more time in the States learning more clinching, wrestling. But you would think that Sakai's probably got that little bit of an edge in that area.
Yeah, you'd think so, even though I think Tai definitely, he's working with good guys. He's working with like Tariq and everything like over in that in Abu Dhabi where he's training. So he's got good guys, they have good grapplers and everything. But then again, we've seen Tai just in some ground situations, we've seen him just not be even defensively aware enough, like just not fighting to get up, just sort of accepting it a bit, laying on his back and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, obviously when you get punched in that, it can start playing a factor. But I think if Tai hits the ground, he needs to be able to bounce back up straight like that. I think that's going to be a tell. If it does hit the ground and Tai's able to, boom, spring back up, create a scramble, get back to the feet, or at least make Sakai work really, really hard, where he's just trying to control him. He's not actually getting off any offense. I think then as soon as Tai comes up, old mate's gas tank's going to be down here. And that's when Tai's going to be like, you've put me in your best position to win. I've survived it. And then he can take over fight that way as well.
Yeah, man. The other little X factor, which I can't talk about Sakai because I know nothing, but following Tai, man, he's such a loose lad, you know. he's out getting pissed, and this is like after his fights, you see how loose he is. But does that affect him? I don't know. Does he have the discipline? Does he? I don't really know. I don't really know into his background. Maybe you know more than I do about his when he's training. Is he in his camp? Is he really on? He just seems like a loose guy to me, and I think sometimes that can undermine people when they get up in these echelon of guys. Like Sakai's fought some of the best guys, like. Rosenstrike's only a couple of fights away from a title in that division, right? So, you know, he's up there. He's up there. They've both been fighting guys at the top. Can he take that next step? Does he have the discipline? I can't really comment on it because I don't know him personally.
I've met him that before. I don't know too much about his personal life, but I think it's just he's sort of just like every Aussie, especially like that Western Sydney type. Like you win, you celebrate with the boys, you go hard, and then after that, boom, you get the date, you're locked in for 8 weeks. You grind for the 8 weeks, and then you rinse and repeat the process. Like, I know I tend to do it after a fight. It's like you go hard for a day or two sort of thing. You get back in the gym, you get straight back on it sort of thing. I think he is the same sort of thing. The only thing is a lot of guys, they're a lot more sort of discreet with it, whereas fair play to him, he'll get pissed and go live and just start inviting people and roasting them. Like, I think that's just great character in my opinion. I love it.
Yeah, man, he's a very entertaining guy. Actually, I've missed that I haven't seen him doing any live feeds lately. I don't know if he still is, and I just missed him. But I used to see it pop up and tune in, and he'd just be doing the funniest things online, man. Like letting people join in the chat, introducing guys and girls together, like dating or something, and just so funny, man. Really funny guy.
Man, that best one is I felt bad for Blake where he invited that bloke or something. He had a mustache and a massive monobrow, like he was, and then Tai just got in. Man, I watched that video like 4 times in a row the first time I saw it. I lost it.
Yeah, true, man. I saw that again pop up yesterday, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, memories. All right, man. So what's your final prediction on the fight?
Like I said, there's a few different ways I could see it going. If Sakai comes out aggressive and he is able to implement his game plan and get it to the ground, and Tai doesn't do the correct things, I think I can see him getting it. But with that being said, there was a lot of ifs and buts in that sort of situation to play out, where I'm more confident in Tai coming out aggressive, coming out early, and pretty much finishing it early. I'm thinking first round KO before Bam Bam.
Yeah, man, it sounds like you're sitting on the fence of the loop, bro. I'm kind of there too. It's a difficult one because it is such a close fight, eh? Like, I guess if you're like what you're saying is correct, that he's been, because I know he's with Daniel Cormier and those guys training more wrestling. If he's been working since then along the way with different trainers and coaches to work on the clinch and work on the grapple, I hope that he can nullify Sakai's attack off the fence and maybe even turn it around. Give it back. I think if he's got that skill, if he's developing in that area, then I think that's his weakness that he would need to worry about with Sakai, apart from a random takedown. I think if he can get that working okay, I think you can potentially knock him out as well. So I'm going to go KO too. I'll just stick with the herd. Everyone seems to be thinking Tai Tuivasa KO in the first, and I'll go with it as well. Hand of God, come on, take him out.
Please do. We need to get some picks right.
True. I'm gonna have to go back and delete all these fucking things soon. All right, bro. Thanks for that.
No worries, bro.
Cheers, bro.